There we go. We'll be really transparent about the rubric and scoring. And then throughout this, we may take a few beats so all can answer questions and ask questions and we can give you all answers because sometimes the information can feel overwhelming and you're like, wait, hold up, hold up, hold up. Let's just sync on this. But we will also make time at the end for you all to ask us questions and we'll try to give you as much clarity as possible. All right, let's get into the welcome and introductions. So I want to introduce Natalie Jones. She's the Economic Development Project Manager. You may see her running the Beltline Business breakfast meetings, running around. She's always in the city, just trying to amplify the voices of small businesses and our creators. So I'm gonna let Natalie introduce herself. But Natalie, go
Thanks,
ahead.
Tiffany. Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Jones, and I oversee the Beltline's Business Solutions office. We are an office that focuses on providing tailored support to businesses that are scaling. On the screen, you'll see a photo of Lynette Reed, who's our Vice President of Planning, Engagement, and Art. And at the Economic Development team at the Atlanta Beltline is doing this in conjunction with our Arts and Culture team. Um, in at the Atlanta Beltline. And one of the reasons why we started to do this particular program is because we have a industry agnostic accelerator just called Beltline Business Ventures. And when we started to look at all of the applications of the people who were applying and being awarded the Tiffany, your screen is scrolling. I don't know if you meant to do that or not.
I meant to because I thought you were jumping into the program overview,
Okay,
but go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
I am sorry. So, we started this program because as we were evaluating all of the applications that we received for our on the Atlanta Beltline program and some of our other installation projects, we noticed that not a lot of work was being awarded to Black and Brown artists. And so we really wanted to take some time to create space and a good learning opportunity for artists, entrepreneurs to understand what it takes to compete for a public art installation. And so we brought on Tiffany with Tila Studios and her team to really create a robust 10-week accelerator program that really goes into all of the ins and outs that you need to run your business as an art entrepreneur and hopefully have better prospects when it comes to competing for public art projects. And so the Beltline team here is here to support Tiffany, but Tiffany is really the brains behind this wonderful program. We got really great feedback during our pilot program, so we decided to bring it back this year. And I think that's pretty much it. Tiffany, did I miss anything, or did you want me to talk about anything else in particular?
No, that was awesome. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And as Tiffany mentioned, I'm always doing something in the city. So if you see me, stop by and say hello. Would love to hear from you all. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Tiffany and let her go over the ins and outs of the program. And I'm actually going to hop off of the call. But thank you
Awesome.
so much, Tiffany, for giving me some time to introduce myself.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Happy Sunday. Awesome. Natalie is such a force. And if you have a chance to connect with her, please do. She's incredible. The Beltline team will be on site throughout the program, but as she said, Tila and our team were actually facilitating the entire program. So just a little bit about myself. If you don't know me, I am Tiffany Latrice, the founder of Tila Studios, which is an organization that was created to support, honestly, artists like myself, Black women visual artists, because I was an artist trying to break into the art scene here in Atlanta once I relocated from New York City, and I had so much trouble. And so with that, I realized that probably a lot of other artists were having trouble as well. And I've really dedicated the past 10 years to amplifying the voices of Black women artists. But when the Beltline came to me to actually facilitate this program, I wanted to make sure that we were casting a wider net, not just obviously marginalized artists, but everyone can apply. So this program is open to everyone in the metro Atlanta area to apply to actually get those business skills. Aisha White will be joining in as a facilitator, but she's our director of creative operations. She was really like the brainchild behind the curriculum and the architect to the sequencing of the program. She is an exceptional artist, but also has pretty much ran a lot of public art projects nationwide, including Rhode Island, all the way to DC. So has a wealth of knowledge for you all to not just think about what your artistic contribution is in the city, but actually nationwide. So she'll be coming on to do like one-on-one sessions with you all, as well as teaching a few sessions throughout the program. Natalie gave an overview about why the program exists, so I'm not going to go into that. But the next thing is key dates. So I know it's a really short application window, and until actually when the program starts. We start at the end of March. So right now you all are on March 1st. You're joining the informational session at number two. On Monday, the following Monday, our application will close. Just about 11 days later, we'll send notifications to you. Notifications will go out about mid-afternoon, early evening on Friday, March 20th. This is whether you're accepted or denied from the program. If you're not admitted to the program, we do offer like 15-minute application review feedback sessions, and we'll send that out in our notice if you want to talk to us about why your application wasn't accepted and what can better prepare you the next time. That's something that we implemented during the first cohort because we know that like when you're applying for these things, it's so frustrating to get so many no's, and I know you're going to be applying to stuff all year. So however we can help strengthen your application or share our expertise on how to make applications stronger, we want to offer that if you're open to it. And just 11 days later from that, once you get your notification of acceptance, the program will begin on a Tuesday. So Tuesday night, we'll have a welcome session with the entire Beltline team. You'll meet your whole cohort, as well as we'll bring in some 2024 cohort members so you can begin networking with them. And then we begin class. Class is every Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:30. That's the core time, but we actually open the classroom doors about an hour before so you guys can network, mingle, get settled. We have exceptional catering that we have for every single class. So if you come hungry because you just got out of work or you don't have time for dinner, don't worry about packing a meal. We will feed you and make sure you're well hydrated to actually really take in the session and be present. And then on June 2nd, you will be assigned groups where you'll get to present on a group project. And it's not a competition or anything. It's just to really share the skills that you learn throughout the program and really celebrate just completing the program with your peers. So it's like a really low lift, but it should be a really fun experience for you all. So don't worry about the graduation. Going over the curriculum. So 2 years ago, we did 8 weeks, but we realized that we needed to expand the time because there was just so much that we couldn't just get in a 2 hour time period. So the week obviously kicks off with the orientation and welcome. We have a really cool partnership with an organization in Portugal, Spain called Artworks, that another consultant is actually working on that residency. But that's a residency selects two artists from this program to travel to Portugal for 6 weeks, all expense paid trip on behalf of the Beltline. So, two cohort members from the 2024 cohort will be back talking about their experience. That was Miriam Moma and Charity Hamadula. And we'll also talk about what it takes to actually land that residency program and when that application will open up for you all to actually participate in the 2026 residency. So that would be the first week. The first week is actually over the same week in 2 days. We'll have also another established artist going over your creating your entrepreneurial journey. So, like, what are your career milestones? Like something that you are want to achieve in 1 year to 5 years to 10 years to lifetime. Really mapping that out and how to achieve that because, as an artist, you're so bogged down in the day to day that sometimes you don't look at the bird's eye view. right? Of like, hey, like, really, where do I want to go? We'll go into the third week looking at research, really honing in on why research is important from ideating your ideas to actually producing your ideas. The fourth week, we'll go into documentation and portfolio development. A lot of times, Black and Brown artists or artists in general don't secure public art opportunities because they don't have a well-documented portfolio that archives and tell a rich narrative of their work. So we want to share the importance of why documentation and portfolio development is essential to landing these national and local opportunities. Going into the fifth week, we'll dive into ethical community engagement. As visual artists, we're often creating work that appeases us, right? That appeases our creative intuition and wants and needs. But when you're creating for the public, you're creating for the people. So, how do you ethically engage the community with the work that you want to produce? What questions do you need to ask? What convenings and gatherings that need to be happening in order for this to feel good for the community that you're serving? Um, the sixth week, we'll go into actually what does it take to like dissect a 20-page RFP and make your application submissions successful. We really have a dynamic teacher that's coming back who is the ED of Dashboard that will really be talking about what it takes to write the winning RFP proposal. Week 7 will be across 2 days as well. We realize legal is so dense. You can't cover everything in legal in 2 hours. So the first session would be like how to advocate for yourself, how to actually conduct contract negotiation that considers your best interest, right? And the best interest of your client. And then we'll also talk about how to navigate public art contracts because those are very intricate, dense, and layered that sometimes, and nuanced in a way that it may deter an artist from actually achieving that program because they're so afraid of the contracting process. In the week 8, we'll go over budgeting and project management for public art. A lot of public art takes it's a multi-year project. It can be exhausting. It can be draining. It could be a lot trying to manage a multi-million dollar budget and you still have life, kids, family going on. So what does it take to actually maintain and manage public art projects? Week 9, we added a week for us to just gather and have your group working session. So all the weeks are so rich, but you may just want time to get with your group and talk about your presentation that you'll be presenting on the final week, week 10. Week 10, we'll get in person. We'll have 5-minute presentations for your group. Takes about 30 to 45 minutes. You'll get your certificates. You'll get to network, have fun. We invite art leaders for you all to just celebrate what you've done in the program. So it's a pretty packed, dense couple weeks, but we'll get you out before all the World Cup festivities happen in the city. Um, so I know that was a lot, but I want to know if there's any questions about the curriculum, um, or any concerns about the commitment versus like virtual and in person. So you could ask those now in the chat or take yourself off mute, whatever you feel like doing.
I have a question around, thank you for labeling which sessions are in person versus virtual. Is there any leeway, if you've got like a prior commitment on one or two of these dates, if you need to be virtual, but it isn't in person?
That's a great question. We weren't able to offer virtual the first year we did it because we didn't have the technology, but we're running the sessions at the Russell Center. So if they're in person, we will give you all the workbook material about a week prior to the time and then be able to record the in-person session at at the date. So you'll be able to watch the replay. Same with virtual. We'll just record it. We do, I mean, I understand like if you have prior commitments because the schedule was just announced. So, we're hoping that everyone has at least like a 90% attendance rate, but we understand if life happens. So we will provide the materials about a week before, but then the recording about 48 hours after the session. So you should be able to be prepared for when the next session happens. Anyone else? Okay, let's keep it going. All right, application questions. I think there's about 33 questions on this application, but don't get overwhelmed. Please answer each question honestly and truthfully. The first section is your general questions. I know that like DEI is under attack, and we often, even myself, consider like we withholding um, our race and gender identity, but this really helps us to ensure that we have a diverse applicant pool and admission process into our actual cohort. So we ask that you self-identify if you feel comfortable, just so we can make sure that we're admitting people of all backgrounds and that we're really being equitable and our acceptance rates and who we actually have in the program. So please identify. This is a program that we want to amplify people that who have been historically left in the margins. Business insight questions. I know a lot of people. Oop, let me admit someone. I know we have a lot of people that who are established businesses as creative entrepreneurs, and some people who are just getting their footing in the door. This is not to rank you on, hey, if you're an established business, you're in, or if you're not an established business, you're out. A lot of our curriculum is very catered. Once you're accepted into the program, we do a really extensive onboarding survey to just really even gauge where you're familiar with some of this content. So if you answer no or you answer yes, this really helps us to make sure that we have a group that, maybe like half of the cohort is an established LLC and then half of them not. We're able to create the groups and the mentorship sessions to actually get you all the information to achieve or establish your LLC. We did that a lot with our 2024 cohort. Some of them didn't have established LLCs, and because they answered truthfully, we were able to have conversations with them and help them get that actually established with the Secretary of State. So answer these questions truthfully. It's just insight questions for us to see where we can offer and share our expertise within the Beltline or within TILA or within the actual facilitators. So we just want to know like general information about your business, if you formed your business, when did you start it? If you keep separate financial records, this helps us know that you know how to track or you have a tracking system. If you file your taxes, if you have hired an accountant, because we can, if you say no, we can offer those pro bono accounting services or discounted rates that we know some accountants in the city. Um, Permits and licenses, this really helps us when we're talking about actual production of, public art. Do you know how to work with ADOT to get street closures, sidewalk closures? Those things are like really key to like producing public art that can actually enhance your experience or break it if you don't know how to do that. Legal is expensive. So you really want to know like if you've worked with a lawyer, yes. If not, then our legal session is going to be super helpful for you. We want to know how you access capital. We know capital is actually really hard to come by these days. So if you really have a blend of these, please select all that apply. We want to know that if you have health insurance, art insurance that covers your work, because insurance is so tricky. Even transparently with this contract with the Beltline, we have to get insurance as a company to in order to work with the public entity and be consultant with the Invest Atlanta and the city of Atlanta. So insurance is such a tricky thing to navigate, but it's so essential for you to secure those high value contracts. We also want to know what's your artistic practice? Like, let us know. We want to make sure we have a diverse pool of artists that are in the cohort. So select all that apply to you. And this is really for the Atlanta Beltline art team. They want to know if you've applied to it or whether or not you've been accepted. We know that historically a lot of Black and Brown artists have been left out. So this is a chance for us to understand how you're coming into the program, if you're coming into the program with maybe potentially being rejected, like how can we help you navigate how to be successful in the future? And then the artist profile, we really just want to know your complete artist bio, your artist statement. If you have a website, it's not required because we know a lot of people's profiles live on Instagram, Twitter, etc. So you can drop your social media handles. We really want to have your work samples in one PDF document, a minimum of five images or projects, and no more than 10 images or projects. And so when you're thinking about this, really try to make it cohesive as possible and reflective of your artist statement. Like, if what you're saying in your artist statement doesn't match your works of art, like, I would say just reconsider that. Like, we really won't want you all to think about how your words are translating into your visual practice. So that really helps us see that like you're really ready to take that next step in your career versus like, hey, I'm just trying all these things and I don't really know what I'm doing. That's what it like when you have so many images that across different times or that is not really representative of a cohesive body of work, it really shows us, I think Apple readers or evaluators see that as, hey, like, is there a consistent history, consistent practice that really merits their artistic statement? So just take time for that. I know a lot of artists like to do everything everywhere all at once, but we're really asking for a streamlined narrative of your work. And then I think a previous question was like, hey, can you commit weekly to in person? Um, or not, versus virtual. And say yes if you can, but like we also understand if there's dates that you have to miss. Typically, our first cohort missed maybe 1 to 2 sessions, but they let us know ahead of time. So if you have a way that you want to do the program and can make yourself available, or you have questions, or you want to email me and be like, hey, these are the dates I can't make. Like, is it urgent that I be there? I'll answer as quickly as I can to let you know, like, hey, you can miss like a few virtual, but you can't miss all the in person, etc. Um, and the insight questions, we really just want to know like how you'll benefit from this program, how you've actually pursued creative entrepreneurship. That's in the second question of like how you have pursued different avenues of showcasing and selling your art and like what's been the most effective for you and what has been the barriers. Like, be truthful about that. Like, hey, like I've been really great at showcasing my art. Landing gallery exhibitions or producing solo exhibitions and murals here or there, but like I haven't gotten that six-figure contract that I've generally wanted to like scale my career. Like share that because we want to know, especially when we attack it in our first session of creating your entrepreneurial journey, like we want to be able to address those barriers in the program. And then the third question is really about, how do you address or balance your artistic integrity of your work and your practice, while also running a business such as marketing and finance. So a lot of times when it takes to do public art projects, you have to compromise in a way, like you're appeasing a client, you're appeasing the public, not only yourself. So how are you blending your artistic integrity of your work and your practice with actually like running your business and making sure that you're able to do both, right? You're able to stay true to yourself, but also run a business that is profitable for you. So we really want to know how you're doing that. So I'm going to stop right there to answer any questions about the application before we go into the rubric.
I have a technical question about the portfolio. The number of pages and works was clear. If we're showcasing, let's just say 8 projects, is it okay to collage images about that one specific project on that one page just to satisfy that so it's not too many pages?
Oh, yeah, for sure. No problem.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I feel like projects are hard to like just capture in one image. So, yeah, if you have just like a collage of, 2 to 6 images on a single page that describes the project, etc., like that totally works. And that goes to murals as well, or anything of any other projects that you've all have done or completed.
Does that also go for tattoos?
Um,
I know it's a weird question. I just had to ask.
It depends on what type of tattoo. Like, is it just one piece that you're working on and you want to show different angles?
Um, like, what if you specialize in a certain style and you want to showcase like that style?
Got you.
No, that don't count.
Counting as, can you explain your question further? I'm not sure if I'm getting it. I don't want to
Uh,
speak too
well,
soon.
well, I guess I kind of hopped on a little late. I'm sorry. But I did want to know, like, do you feel like this would be something that could help, like, someone who's also a tattoo artist? Not just because I'm also an artist as well outside of that. But would it be beneficial to help me become a well-rounded tattoo artist in that way too, as on the entrepreneurial side of things? I know that was a
Yeah.
low question.
No, I think like because we have in our previous cohort had tattoo artists that have transitioned into um, maintaining their tattoo practice, but while also being a public visual artist. I think if you are a tattoo artist, I think it's so dope. I wish I could inflict pain on someone and like do that. Like that's incredible. I would say like if you the most body of work is your tattoo practice, I would say dedicate maybe 2 to 3 images to that, but the remaining 7 images, and then show like the style that you've mastered in those 3 images and how that's grown, maybe the small to larger pieces on the body. But then also on the remaining 7 images, if you have works, your 2D visual works or any artworks that you've actually created, it'll be dope to kind of see how your tattoo practice goes into your visual practice because now we can see
So
how,
combine the two,
yeah,
pretty much.
I would combine the two because we want to see how you want to scale, right? From working on the skin to working on the canvas to working in the public. And I think you also, when you're answering the question number one of like how this accelerator will help you, like I think rooting your answer in your tattoo background, but how that's transitions you into your artistic practice and then how you actually want to go into the public or explore opportunities in the public.
Thank you.
Of course. Sorry, that was like a long-winded answer. But yeah, that's what I would want to see.
Oh, I got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Could you clarify a little bit more or give an example about how maybe a previous artist or just in general of how like scaling from like for example, I'm like my medium is drawing. And so of course that's on paper. And yes, I've like exhibited my work. And but I'm trying to think of what in my example then from drawing on paper to scaling it up for public art would that be like I'm having a hard time I guess in like thinking about what that would look like from one from jumping from one medium to then making it public art like what does that really mean is it a sculpture is it something more 3D can you kind of like give me an example of something like that does that make
Uh,
sense.
no, it makes a lot of sense. And I think this is a question that we try to answer in the cohort. What you realize when you're actually producing 3D sculptures like the one you see in front of you, the artists themselves are not the one who's actually fabricating the piece. That means building, painting,
Okay.
constructing the piece. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of hesitation for 2D visual artists who are drawers or painters, it's like, how do I make something 3D happen? A
Yes.
lot of
Mhm.
time it's a team behind you.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when you're working on your application, maybe it's like, hey, like I understand that I am limited to this style of working, drawing,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Mm-hmm.
understand public art is expansive. I want to learn how to translate my ideas into 3D by learning how to hire the or consult with the proper teams that can translate my drawings into these 3D um, productions. So
Okay. Okay. I see.
a lot of times you'll do that, right? And even
I
murals. You
see.
can have, if you were like, hey, I have these beautiful drawings that need to be 20-foot murals.
Mm,
Sometimes those artists aren't even painting their murals, right? They can outsource
mm,
that to teams to take
okay,
these renderings to life.
I
So
see.
when we're in the research to production, we'll talk about how to hire the right team, right? To produce and fabricate and make your ideas a reality. And we'll
I see.
actually,
Okay.
in the program, we'll visit studios where artists are talking about the fabrication process.
Mm,
So you're not going to be the only one that like
okay.
when you're going into public work, you're mostly going to be assembling, hiring a team. And that's usually
I
from three to
see.
seven people of your
Okay.
public art team.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense because I'm thinking like I've never done a mural before, but but I see that would you say then it's more about having the vision and like having the
Yes.
passion and the drive to work towards that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Like I serve as the project manager for some public projects in the city, and I help artists have their dream realized, where it's like I'm helping them figure out the lifts because like it's like how do I even get up on the wall, you know? I'm helping them figure out the permitting. So like you'll have project managers, you'll have production teams. You literally have to assemble a team of like 10 people to achieve these like 30-foot teams. So when you see an artist like post like I did this like a
Mm-hmm.
100-foot
Mm-hmm.
mural,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
have people behind them supporting them, okay?
Okay.
Assistants.
Yeah, okay.
So many people. So
I
don't
see.
worry.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Anyone else? Cool, cool. So we're in the last section, the rubric. So it's a possible 100 points. So the first one is like, y'all, did you complete the application? Did you answer all the questions fully to your best ability? And are you living in the Atlanta area or within the state of Georgia? We want to make sure that we're actually inviting local artists. Um, so we're also giving the business need because this is a Beltline Business Ventures Accelerator program. So we want to know if you're knowledgeable about entrepreneurship, resources to run a successful business. And if not, if you don't have that background, we want to know if we can fill the gap, to be honest. So like you get a lot of points if you just like, hey, I could use some support to fill the gap. So the answer those questions honestly. We give 15 points if you answer yes, if you're able to commit to the program and the dates, because it is a really tight timeline. Um, we want to make sure that you're able to show up because it is an investment on all accounts, even to your peers that are on your team. Like you want to show up for them too, not just me. And this is the question we are talking about your artistic profile. Like, really, how are you communicating about your bio, your art statement to show a history of commitment to your practice as a working artist? Um, do you have questions that you're investigating? Is there a through line that is really shared within your bio and artistic practice, I mean, your art statement? So you get 20 points if it's really strong. And then we want to see the quality of your previous work. Y'all, if you have low res images of your work, don't submit it. Try to get like really clear, high res images that we can actually see the materials, see the scale. Um, like that's really, really important for us to evaluate because we're not viewing the works in person, we're viewing them digitally. So don't do a super cropped image. Try to let us see the edges of the canvas or the edges of the piece that you're showing us, or your drawing, or your tattoo, whatever it is. Make sure that it's clear, it's rich, and we can really see the details of your work. That really helps us understand. Um, how the quality of work and your experience in actually documenting your work. And then we want to see if you have a demonstration for native resources. So those last three questions are worth 30 points, about 10 points each. Letting us know how you want to translate your artistic practice to 3D, and admitting that you may not know it, but you know that like hiring teams and actually be equipping with the tools and resources will get you there. And so we'll base the application on that. You'll get out of 100 points. Um, and then the the applicant pool that scores within the top 30, top 20 We will pursue have the Beltline actually review your applicants as well. They have a really hands-on selection of who our cohort is, and then we'll send those notifications out on March 20th, whether you're accepted or not accepted. So that is the application, the rubric, and now it's time for questions where we all go outside and enjoy the day. Anyone else want to answer any questions or ask any questions?
One more portfolio thing came to mind. What about video? So with like a couple of my installation, I have like some video to just demonstrate movement or interactive elements within it that you can't quite see. Like, should I write a blurb? Can I include the video or a link to the video?
Yeah, I was gonna say a link, but not
Okay,
the
cool.
video as the
Not the
work
video as a
sample.
file, but a link to, yes, but just a link
Yes,
to it on the thing. Okay, great.
exactly.
So I have a question. So I'm multidisciplinary and I always like expanding my artwork and just elevating it more. So how would I make my portfolio, if that makes sense? Because I do murals, I do fabric art, I like experimenting. So how would I make sure it seems cohesive?
Is this Brandon?
Yes.
I would say focus on getting quality images from your recent solo exhibition. I think that shows the breadth and depth of your work from the installation view to the individual works that you showcase. And I would say like I would dedicate at least 50% of the images from that show. And then the other 50%, I would do previous work samples, whether that is individual works or murals, that really show your evolution of your practice, if that makes sense. So I would do maybe 2 to 3 individual works. And then I don't know how many murals you have, but I would do maybe like 1 to 2 murals that you've done.
Thank you.
All right. Lori, Janelle, I think Joelle just joined. Any questions from you all? Do y'all feel good?
I was a little
I
tardy
was
to the party myself. I'll see if I can get a recording of the previous what I've
okay.
missed.
Yeah, I'll send a link to the recording for sure. It's no problem.
Thank you so much.
I know. It's like that sometimes.
I was actually going to ask if there were any resources for developing you know, a portfolio that kind of, how should I say this? If there are any resources on constructing a portfolio, would you recommend certain websites or something like that?
I will do that in my follow-up email. I think constructing a portfolio is it's such an art,
Mm-hmm.
and our facilitator 2 years ago, she gave really great examples of websites and PDF
Mm-hmm.
examples of people who
Mm-hmm.
really demonstrated their work exceptionally. And I think people on
Mm-hmm.
this call have the most questions about the portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
It is worth a lot of points. So I understand that you want to put your best foot forward and showing it the breadth and depth of your
Mm-hmm.
work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll hyperlink those and I'll share some PDFs of some sample artists. That have done that and achieved that well to be a departure point as you
Okay,
create yours.
thank you.
Of course. Yes, please. Yes, I know. Portfolios. Whew. Oh, gosh. Even myself, sometimes I'm like, I think I do a good job, but I'm like, oh, this is trash, like it's so bad. So it's a hard thing to do. Cool beans. All right, y'all. If no more questions, I will send a follow-up email by end of day today with the recording, links to the application and the PDF version. Just a heads up, you can't save your application on the Airtable form. So if you can complete your application in another Google Doc and then just do it in one sitting, submitting it, that will be helpful. I'm going to drop the email that you can answer questions to or ask questions to us. It is me checking the email account. So do that. And then I will drop the examples of the portfolio development in my follow-up email today. So I want you all to be prepared. I would say try to get your application in as soon as possible. You know how we all are. We'll do it last minute and then the whole link crashes. But keep us posted if that happens. But try to get it in as soon as possible, and to the best of your ability. But with that, I wish you all a very happy Sunday. Thank you all for joining on this beautiful day. And I really hope to see your application. It's just been a joy hearing from you all. So thank you for your questions.
Thank you, sister girl. You have a great day.
Okay, thank
Thank you.
you.
Enjoy the sun.
Thank you.
Great.
All
Thank you.
right, bye y'all.
Bye.